Okay, let's take a look at exercise 2. This is a very challenging exercise. We're going to be comparing ratios in different ratio tables. I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can do this. Since the tables below show the comparison of the amount of water to the amount of juice concentrate in grape juice made by 3 different people, whose juice has the greatest water to juice concentrate ratio? And whose juice would taste the strongest? Be sure to justify your answer. Well, one thing that we can do to compare the water to juice concentrate ratio would be to simply simplify each of those ratios, the water to juice concentrate. And if we get a simplified ratio that has the same term, we can use it to compare. So I'm going to look at 12 to 4 here. If I simplify 12 to 4, I can divide a 4 out of both of those, and it simplifies to 3 to 1. That tells me Laredo uses 3 cups of water for every 1 cup of juice concentrate. Let's try Franca's here. I'm going to use that particular ratio, 10 to 2. I can divide a 2 out of that and get a ratio of 5 to 1. That tells Franca adds 5 cups of water to every 1 cup of juice concentrate. And then if I go over here to Milton, I can pick any one of these particular ratios since they're all the same. Again, I'm going to pick the top one. I can divide a 2 out of both of those and get a ratio of 4 to 1. Milton adds 4 cups of water to every 1 cup of juice concentrate. Now notice every one of these ratios, these simplified ratios, have the same second term of 1. Once we get a common term, we can compare. We can use those ratios to compare, since we're all putting how much water to 1 cup of juice concentrate. Let's put the juices in order from the juice containing the most water to the juice containing the least water. Every one of these, since we have 1, that's how much juice concentrate was added. The first number was how much water was added. Franca added the most water to every 1 cup of juice concentrate. She had a ratio of 5 to 1. Milton was next. His ratio was 4 to 1. And then, of course, Laredo was last. His ratio was 3 to 1. Now, I'm going to skip down here. It says, what was the ratio used to create each table? Once again, we had a 3 to 1. We had a 4 to 1 and a 5 to 1. Now we have to compare the juices. All right, I want to know whose tastes the strongest, right? Question up here says, whose juice would taste the strongest? To have the strongest tasting juice, you would have to add the least amount of water. Laredo added the least amount of water, so Laredo's tastes the strongest. Next would be Milton. And the weakest tasting, the most diluted tasting, would be Franca. So once we get the ratios to have we can simplify them, we get them a common term in the same exact spot, we can use those ratios to compare. Now another method that we can use is to compare 2 of the ratios at a time, not necessarily by simplifying them. For example, I'm going to look at the ratios of water to juice concentrate, the numbers in the first column of each of these tables, and I'm going to try to find ratios that have the same first or second number. For example, Laredo has a ratio of 12:4. Milton's would have a ratio of 16:4. That tells me for the same amount of juice concentrate, Milton adds more water. His is going to taste weaker than Laredo's. I can also compare Franca's to Milton's right here. Notice there's a 2 in the second term. That means for the same amount of juice concentrate, Franca adds more water than Milton. So from that, we can get the order of strength of taste. Okay? Laredo's was stronger than Milton's because he added less water here to the same amount of juice for Milton. And Franca's was weaker because she added more water than Milton. So we get that same order. So once again, you can simplify them, but you got to have the same common term. In our case, 1. Or you can compare two ratios at a time and try to get the order.